Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Crystal with Essentially Tarot again, and I'm back for part 2 of my tarot deck collection. Now I forgot to say in part 1, I'm kind of breaking this up by, starting with my lighter, friendlier decks, and then we'll move into the darker decks, and then finally onto Oracle decks. So you'll see as I title each video where we're going to make the transition from light friendly decks to dark decks, in case you're somebody who's maybe not into the darker decks. So I just want to throw that out there. So the first deck we're going to start with today is the Cosmic Tarot. I have modified mine, which you'll see in a moment. Here's your little white book, your typical little white book. I really can't speak to it because I honestly have not had the chance to work with this deck yet. I got it in and immediately knew that I wanted to trim it because it had these obnoxious white borders. You can see I edged mine in black. It is beautiful, if not very dated. This deck is from the 80s and it kind of screams 80s. A lot of the imagery is kind of, oops, these are all upside down. I'm sorry, I do read reversal, so we will have that. A lot of the imagery is just very 1980s, very dated, very funny. Like this looks like Elizabeth Taylor. I know people say that all the time, I think almost every review I've seen of this deck, they point her out. But, you know, for some people who maybe really enjoy that style of artwork, who really enjoy revisiting the 80s, like look at those bangs, girl. It's fun. It's a fun deck. Again, I haven't really worked with it yet. The cardstock is on the flimsy side. It's not great, but I am excited to work with it. I wouldn't have purchased it otherwise, but it is, you know, fair warning, just very, very heavily 80s vibed. It's a good time. So that's the Cosmic Tarot. I don't really have much more that I can say about that, unfortunately. I can update when I do. I love the backings though. Like the backings are great. They are not reversible, by the way. You have kind of the, I would say, the rising sun and maybe setting sun, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, I mean, it's an inexpensive deck. It seems to be, you know, one that most people have in their collection. I just haven't worked with it yet. Next up, we have the Thoth. Now, I did buy this to be a study deck. I really want to learn more about the Thoth system. Now, I bought this online, and you just see it says Thoth Tarot, book and card set. Doesn't say anything that would lead you to believe anything funny is about to happen. Here's your book. Nice big book, and here is your deck. It's so small. It's so small. It's just really tiny. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. I don't know. I'm obviously, I'm going to hold on to it. It'd be a great little travel deck because it is, I mean, where's a standard size card? Here's my universal weight. These are so tiny. I think they're actually even a little smaller than like the tarot in a tin. Very small. So I think, you know, these would make a great deck for a travel deck. But as far as learning from them, like they're just so small. I feel like I need to bring them all the way up to the camera so you can even see them. You can see they're still in order because I haven't even shuffled them. They literally came in and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so tiny. So yeah, I find the Thoth system to be really fascinating. I find the artwork in the deck to be really fascinating. It is Lady Frida's artwork. I don't know how well this is going to work out as a study deck because it is so small. It's hard to see all of the detail in the cards when they're so tiny. So that is my Thoth deck. Obviously, I haven't started working with it yet. As far as working with it goes, it's going to be more of a, again, a study process before I'm actually reading with it, I think. I really like to sit down and kind of take some time to get to know it. Speaking of study decks, the next one is also a study deck in a very adult bag, Resting Witch Face. And this one, I really have been diving deep on, and here's the book that it comes with. Ooh, there's something schmutzy on my cover. It's been on my altar. The Wise Woman's Tarot by Flash Silvermoon. It does come with, which I think is cool, these little, I don't know if you can see that, these little like at a glance cheat sheets, which are nice. This is the majors, this is the minors. My main complaint with this deck is the cardstock. It is so flimsy and thin, and these are some really, really big cards. Like, again, let's get the Rider weight, the universal weight. Ooh, they're big cards, and this is that kind of cardstock where like there's actually a ridge that you can see where they like punched them out. You can see I edged mine in yellow, but you can see the ridges where they had actually punched them out from the sheet they were in. Which, it is what it is. No hate to Flash Silvermoon, the late great Flash Silvermoon. She has unfortunately passed on. The deck itself is wonderful. This is the backing, and each card has a god or goddess or mythological figure from different places around the world, just different cultures, different countries. This Nine of Swords is one of my all-time favorite cards. I don't know. I would have a painting of this on my wall. Is that weird? I don't know. It just speaks to me as, you know, a woman, you know, being afraid to embrace her gifts and her abilities for fear of persecution. Like, blah, I don't know. I love it. So the reason this has become a study deck for me is that I admittedly do not know every single myth, every single figure in this deck. And so I really wanted to take the time to learn what each of these cards was showing me. This card I did have a problem with. I did find some inconsistencies in the book where they did talk about Chiang-O being the goddess of the moon, the goddess of the sun, when in actuality she's the goddess of the moon. She literally lives on the moon with her rabbit. So I thought that was, I'm sorry, we have a shadow here. I thought that was interesting that they had that kind of the opposite in the book. But again, when you're talking about 78 different myths that you're writing about and researching, I can understand where something like that can slip through the cracks. So again, I've only really gone through about, I would say 4 or 5 of these cards, just because I do, look at that, it's fascinating, isn't it? The fertility for, instead of the Empress. I do want to not only use the guidebook, which is a decent guidebook, but I have been kind of pulling information, like that's the Empress, the fertility card. So you get like quite a decent write-up on each card, as you can see. Like there's a lot going on there. So she has done a lot of research as well, and it's in here. It's not like she's just, let me show you the minors. It's not like she's just kind of throwing information at you. Here's what you get for the minors. But I wanted to kind of fill in the gaps in the mythology for myself. So that's the Wise Woman's Tarot. Spent a lot of time on that. Now the deck that kind of goes hand in hand with that one for me, they spend a lot of time together, is this next one. And this is not an unusual deck to see. The Motherpeace Tarot. And I do have the book in here as well. This is the, I think a lot of times you have to purchase this one extra. I think there is a set with the mini deck and the book, but I do have the full size. And this is so far my only round deck. I do have another round deck coming via Kickstarter, which is actually an Oracle deck. But I really do like this one as well. I like that the book goes into, you know, directional reading. So, you know, north, south, east, west, depending on which way the cards are facing, the meaning changes slightly, which I really enjoy. I don't know that it has the most, like, let me see if I can get in there. And, whoop, sorry, I bumped the camera. I don't know that it has the most grabbing artwork. Like, it's not the best artwork I've ever seen, but it feels kind of old and primitive, and like it's tapping into more ancestral energies, and that's kind of how I like to read with this deck, in a more ancestral way. And it does read really well. It reads really deeply, really I don't know, attention grabbing, like it needs to tell you something important. I don't know, for lack of a better way to describe it. But yeah, I really do enjoy the Motherpeace. There's your death card. And I actually really like the round deck. I like shuffling it. I think it feels good in my hands. It is a little slippery. It does kind of get away from me sometimes, but I think it's fun to have a round deck. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. The next one is one you guys have seen often if you are on my Facebook and Instagram. It's in this little fairy bag, and this is the Vagabond Wild Tarot. And it does have this really beautiful, like pink, rose gold edging, but the gilding you can see is kind of coming off on mine. It's taking a beating, and honestly, I only use it really once a month to do moon work. I use this for all my moon work. I was using it a little more often in the beginning when I first got it, but now it's strictly my moon deck. This is the first printing of this deck, the first version of this deck, if you will. There is a new one now, but I have the original, and it is like, I think they call this like vector artwork or like digital artwork. Some of the cards are more beautiful than others. Some of them, I don't know, like this Three of Swords is not my favorite Three of Swords, but I do like kind of the cosmic vibe it has going on. I really enjoy the colors. I really enjoy, you know, I don't know, it's a beautiful deck, but just not every single card is my favorite, which is normal, right? Like every single card can't be your favorite. So I don't know what I'm saying. I will say this, here's your Fool. She's beautiful. I will say this is really, really heavy cardstock. It is really hard to shuffle. I find I have to kind of take it in half and then take it in half because I do riffle shuffle. And that's really the only way I can riffle shuffle this deck. And even then, it's stiff. It's really thick. Nice cardstock. But yeah, I really enjoy this. Again, I use that for all my moon readings, and it always seems to kind of come through for me. So I do like it. All right, next up, let's grab the Golden Tarot by Liz Dean. Not to be confused with the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. Those are different. It comes in the, what I think is like the stereotypical Liz Dean box, which I like. I don't mind the box. Here's your book that comes with it. It's a nice little book. It has color photos. You get like a page for each card. It's not bad. And this deck, I believe, is based on the Visconti Sforza deck, or decks. I'm not sure if it's a combination of decks. These are the backings. You can see I edged mine in a bronze. And these are very much a pip deck, but they are very kind of medieval. Look at that double. Can you see that? Let me bring that in a little bit. It's gorgeous. The majors are beautiful. The courts are beautiful. And here's your pips. So you have the 8 of Wands, 9 of Wands. So if you're not familiar or comfortable reading a pip deck, this deck is not going to be for you. Ironically, I think this was like the third deck I ever purchased, and when I bought it, I took it home not realizing that only the majors were what's the word I'm looking for? Illustrated. So when I got this home, I opened it up and I was like, oh my goodness, what did I do? But I kind of learned as I went. And I really, really enjoy using this deck. This is what I like to call my dude deck, because it just reads with a very confident kind of masculine tone, kind of like, you know, just that really overconfident frat bro who has the best of intentions for you. I don't know. Which is funny because it's such a classic looking deck. Like, look at this moon. Ugh. But it doesn't read with that older, wiser voice. I mean, it's a wise voice still, but it's just kind of this confident, cocky, masculine energy. I don't know. That's the best way I can think to explain it. So that is my dude deck, if you will. So if you ever hear me ask you if you want like a dude's opinion, that's what I'm talking about. Next up is a Colette Baron Reid deck, Oh, I feel like I shifted this. Hold on. The Good Tarot. Now, I know some people kind of use this more as an oracle than a tarot deck. I have not really utilized it to work with it yet. I have taken it out. Here's your book. I've taken it out. I flipped through it. I don't know that I love some of the changes that have been made with this deck. I feel like, you know, taking out some of the quote-unquote scarier cards is doing a huge disservice as far as when it comes to tarot readings. Like, here's the Nine of Swords. Okay. You know, it's just, here's the Three of Swords. I don't know. It's just, I feel like part of tarot is confronting not only the good, but also confronting some of that dark shadow energy that we do tend to kind of push beneath the surface because society tells us we should. And I feel like it does a disservice if you're not willing to address some of that. And these cards are just so nice. They're beautiful cards. Like, the artwork on them is absolutely stunning. Again, I haven't done readings with them. I haven't worked with them yet, just because I was so thrown off by the changes that were made to things and how positive a spin was put on the deck. So I can't really speak to how they read. It's not fair for me to try to. But I did find myself just, again, kind of going through and wondering why we decided to kind of water down the tarot. I mean, it is the Good Tarot. I get that. But again, I'm going to have to come back to this when I have a chance to really work with it and let you know how I truly feel. It is beautiful. I want to work with it. I want to like it. I just, oh, these are the backs. I forgot to show you. I need to edge this. I don't know. I just, when you start kind of sugarcoating things, you know, I don't know. It loses something, right? All right, I think we have time for one last deck before I call this one as well. Let's pull out, what is this? Let's see. What do I have here? Oh, I have the, oh my gosh, totally went right out of my head. Isn't that terrible? I have Cat Black stuck in my head from the Golden Tarot. That is not who this is. This is the Anna Kay. There we go. Oh my goodness, really? I don't have the book handy. The book is still on my bookshelf. I keep it in this bag. Here are the backings. I think this is, again, another one a lot of people have seen. I've edged mine black. And oop, there's the moon right on top. Love it. This deck is a really beautiful deck. And I feel like I am not the only one who will tell you that it has a very nurturing tone, a very nurturing voice. The cardstock's not the greatest, but it's not terrible. I think there was like an independently published version that Anna Kay did. This is the mass market. The colors in this are beautiful. It speaks a lot. It has a lot to say. But again, it is very nurturing. I think it handles difficult things really well. I love this Eight of Swords. I think this is like one of the standout cards for me, is that she's out here and the Eight of Swords energy is here looking back at her in the mirror, which is perfect. So yeah, I don't know. I have nothing but good things to say about this deck. Again, it is very nurturing. It's one that I can pull out for just about anyone. You know, if someone's having a hard time and they're looking for guidance, they're looking for you know, maybe a direct answer, but not, that's cool too. The Ten of Swords here with him kind of walking away from it. If they're looking for a direct answer, but I know that they need it delivered in a gentle tone, in a gentle voice, this is the deck that I'm gonna pull, because this does it really well. So yeah, there's your cute fool. So yeah, the Anna Kay. I do enjoy that one. I'm gonna pull one more because we're just under 20 minutes. So let's pull out this guy. This is one of my all-time special decks. This is the Sasuraibito Tarot. It's hard to, there we go, Sasuraibito Tarot. You can find this on Etsy. Here is the little white book. And the box is beautiful. Can you see that? I have a really wicked shadow. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm trying to do this with as much natural light as I can. Now this deck is, I'm assuming, my soul deck. I'm gonna have to go with that because here's the backings, beautiful. They're gold gilded. This is a deck that I had seen a few times. Look how gorgeous they are. And I was drawn to it, yes, for sure. I love this artwork. I think it's crisp and clear and beautiful. I love that these are like ghost swords. Like, they don't have to be physical. They can be words, they can be thoughts, they can be emotions. I don't know. I love it. But yeah, I was drawn to this artwork. I love this artwork, but it wasn't something that I was planning on purchasing. At the time, I, again, was in the kind of beginning of my binge buying in quarantine. Actually, it might have been before the coronavirus hit, actually. I was being really good. And I wasn't really buying anything online. And I had come across this and I loved it, but I was like, no, that's more than I want to spend right now. I'm just not going to do it. And a couple of days went by and I woke up one morning and the first thing I heard in my head was Sasuraibito Tarot. Just like that, just out loud in my head, plain as day. That's what I heard. And, you know, it struck me as funny because, first of all, it's not the easiest name to say. It's not the most recognizable name. And so I was like, all right, you know what? Somebody's trying to get my attention. Some spirit guide really wants me to get this deck. There's a reason I'm supposed to have it. And I purchased it. And I really, really, really love this deck. Again, this is one that is not going anywhere. This is one that I will hold on to until the end of time. Again, it reads clearly for me. It reads quickly for me. And I feel like we're just kind of starting out on this adventure together, and it has so much more to tell me. And I'm excited to see what it has to say. So yeah, I don't know. Not much more I can say about that, right? All right, so again, I'm gonna call it quits here. We're at 22 minutes. Join me again for part 3. Thanks for hanging out with me. Please, if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Hit the little bell so that you get notifications, and we'll continue this on the next video. Bye guys.